Today we're talking about something that I think is underrated within the Apple ecosystem and a factor that often comes into people's purchasing decisions of smartphones, tablets, and even computers. Today we're talking about iMessage and how so many people choose to buy an iPhone because it has iMessage, and why I don't think that's a bad reason to buy a phone. I don't think you're limiting yourself if you're choosing a phone because of iMessage, because of how useful and how concretely helpful iMessage is to people on a day-to-day use. I see this argument come up a lot when we're talking to people about why should you buy an iPhone? Why should you pay extra for an iPhone with this Android with better hardware that can do this for cheaper? Why do so many people rely on the green bubble and the blue bubble to dictate whether or not the phone is worth it? On the surface level, if you don't really think about it too much, you're just gonna say, you bought that phone so that you would stay blue? That's stupid. You're just worried about your friends making fun of you being a green person. So, social pressure, that's why people buy iPhones, right? There could be a little bit of that, but I think it actually goes a little bit further if you think a little bit harder about it. What Apple got right with iMessage back when they launched it with iOS 5 back in 2011 was they were admitting that SMS text was not very good. And even still to this day, it has quite a few limitations that different companies have had different methods of trying to fix themselves. Apple tried to conquer this challenge very, very early on with iMessage by saying, if you're texting another iPhone with your iPhone, we'll take care of it. We're going to make sure it goes through the internet and not through carrier towers because they charge a lot for SMS and it's lower quality and you had character limits. There are still a lot of phones out there that when you send text via SMS, they have to break it up into several separate texts. Apple very quickly jumped into this situation and said, hold on, I think there's a better way to do this. And since then, I think iMessage they've built into the Apple ecosystem better than we've seen any other messaging platform, so that it is now more accessible and easy to use than ever. So the one big thing I've heard people going to iMessage for is video in picture quality. Now, if you're in a group messaging service or you're texting a picture or a video to someone you know, iMessage is able to send much, much higher video, much, much higher picture quality than SMS can handle because it's using kind of a dated form of carrier data transfer. It's not using the internet. So I've heard even a lot of firsthand experiences of people saying at work they needed to text a certain document or a certain flyer to everyone they know, and because there's one person in that group chat that uses SMS and everyone else has an iPhone, when they send that text, they get that low quality, low resolution photo and they all have to say, this isn't working. So while I can understand that argument of there's the social pressure to not become a green person, being that one green person is often a detriment to everyone in the group chat, and that's what makes them go over to Messenger, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But another really compelling reason to stick with iMessage is for people who travel a lot when you go on planes. You know, planes, they fly at a range of cell towers, so you cannot SMS text people when you are up in a plane. This is why we have airplane mode, right? But one thing airplanes do support is Wi-Fi, and luckily, since iMessage is internet-based and not SMS-based, people with iPhones and iMessage are able to keep texting exactly the way they do on the ground. They don't have to switch to a different messaging app, and they can now text people via iMessage when they're flying across the planet. And when you're in the business world, that can be very, very important, that you're able to communicate with people and you don't have to open some separate app, you don't have to download WhatsApp, you don't have to get Messenger. It's all built into the Messages app, which brings me to my third point that I think is very compelling about iMessage. Apple forces you to use it, which may sound like a bad thing, but it is the default Messages app even if someone without an iPhone is texting you, and I think this was really, really smart from the beginning. Make sure that you have the better messaging platform integrated with the stock Messages app that you get all of your regular SMS texts from. That simple color coordination of green means Android and blue means iPhone makes it really simple for people to have all their messages in one place, and iPhones, I think, sell pretty well because they have a certain reliability people come to expect, and that iMessage pillar, I think, is a really big center of it because all of us use phones for different things. Some of us use it for school, some of us use it for videos and pictures, some of us use it for watching videos and Twitter, and to a certain extent, I'm sure we all use some of these things, but some more than others. Some of us like gaming, but I think one thing that's really safe to say we all use our phones for is communication, and that definitely starts with texting. You know, phone calls usually only happen now if there's like a serious situation. In my social circle, at least, it's pretty rare that anyone calls you unless something pretty bad is happening. So texting is one thing that we all do, and it's very important that Apple gets that right from the get-go, because if you can nail messaging, that means that you're opening up your market a lot wider than a lot of Android phones that require you to import SMS into Messenger and make sure you have a Messenger account. And that brings me to my next point. Messenger is simply not not as good as Messages. Don't get me wrong, I'm a user of Messenger. I use it every single day, but I'm never going to use the argument that I think it is better than iMessage because of all the things Facebook requires. For one, let's just talk about privacy. How often do people get hacked on Facebook because they clicked on a malicious link and then some bot gets into their account and starts texting every friend they can another suspicious link, and the hack keeps going and going and going. That's even happened to me before. Someone got into my Facebook account because I did not have two-factor authentication and started texting all my friends and family, and I had to go back and apologize to everyone and say, don't click on that link, I said to you that wasn't me, that was wrong. And I've had multiple friends get hacked as well and send me malicious links. Not to mention that every time you open the Messenger app, you are instantly greeted with an ad. No matter how close you are to the top of the page or if you scroll down, there is an ad there that is sponsored. Depending on the day, it changes, but Facebook's got to make money, so putting ads in Messenger was a great way to do that. And as far as I know, Facebook doesn't really have a pay system so that you can get rid of that if you want to, but even if they did, that's ridiculous. Facebook's a business, I guess. They got to make their money, but that's just another thing you have to put up with. Messenger, I personally feel, is a much more complicated, much more cluttered app than iMessage because when you open iMessage, you just get all the pictures of the people you're talking to and your messages. That's it. There's no ads. There's no, this person is active online right now. There's no pop-up saying, hey, add to your stories. Make sure to add to your Instagram stories, your Facebook stories, and your Messenger stories. I believe they've started condensing those down, but I don't even try to mess with them. But I do understand that on Android, you can import your SMS into Messenger, or you can get a Messenger account without signing up for Facebook. But all of these things are extra steps that you don't have to worry about when you get an iPhone because you have that reliability and that consistency with iMessage you can go to. And keep in mind, so far, I don't really think I've mentioned the ecosystem yet, but don't you dare think I was gonna let this video end without bringing that up. iMessage is untouchable throughout the Apple ecosystem, okay? We've got messages on your iPad that you can send to other people and even SMS text. Via your iPhone, you can activate which Apple devices you own that will allow you to send SMS and iMessage texts, whether you're on your MacBook, your iMac, your iPad, and even your Apple Watch. Theoretically, even your iPod. Yes, that's right. You could technically SMS text people if you allowed the iPod to from your iPhone. Why you would have an iPod and an iPhone, I don't know. iPods should be dying any second now, but regardless, SMS and iMessage is now made available across the entire platform of devices you use, and that's simply something that's very difficult or hard to replicate on the alternative. You either have to download the Messenger app, put up with ads on desktop too, which once again is through third-party apps, and if you want to bring that up on Windows, just remember when I tried to use Messenger on my Surface Go, maybe you could blame this on its i5 core, but it crashed. Messenger did not work from Windows 10, and a lot of you said, well, don't get mad at Microsoft, it's Facebook's fault. Well, now that argument's coming to bite you back with why iMessage is probably the best texting platform there possibly can be. And in a world where we're all trying to communicate with each other and we want easy ways to be able to reach one another, iMessage definitely gets the job done, I think, the fastest and the most streamlined opposed to any other app. I know that WhatsApp and Messenger are popular, and Android's tried their best to make their standard SMS texting app more streamlined and easier to use, but the problem is, I think, Google's ideology. They are not the type of company to say, everyone is going to use our app that supports this feature and you can't switch it to something else. This is the messaging app, you're all going to use it. That's a very Apple-esque mindset, that everyone will use iMessage and life will be better if all of your friends get iPhones too, and we're gonna make sure that the people who buy iPhones appear as blue and the people who don't appear as green. Android likes to have more options, and Android likes to have more customizability and make sure that the user can use any messaging app they want, and while having options is nice and being able to customize all that is cool, what it results is in a more complicated setup process. People have to route numbers to different apps, download different apps, make sure that Messenger has SMS imported into it, and not that it's impossible. I understand there's plenty of Android users out there that can get by without iMessage. It's just another step in another process in another cluttered app they have to put up with that has ads and stories. And personally, one thing that really bothers me is even if I'm not friends with someone, even if I've only texted this person once, like I sold an Xbox to some guy, now anytime that one guy is online in Messenger, he's going to appear at the top in the active now section. Even if I block him, even if we're not friends, even if I close the messaging thread with him, it's still gonna tell me when he's active and online at any time. And I find that just weird and bizarre and unnecessary. So I think iMessage does a way better job at just showing you your texts. If the other person has an iPhone, that's more helpful, but I personally don't think it's a bad thing to kind of show your customers what they could be getting if your friends had the same product as you, because that's a big deciding factor for a lot of people buying consoles. consoles. A lot of the time they'll just say, my friend has this console and I want to be able to communicate and play the games with him, so that's why I'm getting that console. Sometimes companies definitely don't like playing nice with each other, like PlayStation, not wanting to let anyone playing Fortnite with someone on Xbox, so that wall that they built up is definitely going to persuade someone to buy one console or the other. I don't really see how it's any different with phones. It makes complete sense to me, and if Android really wants an iMessage competitor and they want that reliability, they want that staple of this is what everyone should use, they definitely should have built one app, not 14, and had everyone use it and had all your SMS regular text go there, as well as if someone else had the latest version of Android. But we all know what the problem is with Android fragmentation. There's too many third-party developers, there's too many other companies making phones, they're all running on different versions of Android, and that means that you can't get everyone on that same universal standard. And if you wanted to get everyone on the same basis like Apple did with iMessage, you kind of had to do this a few years ago, and the time's kind of passed. Now Google's flooded the market with so many different messaging apps that everyone's using different ones, whether it be Messenger or WhatsApp or the standard messages app. Everything's very cluttered, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Google to fix all of that and put everything back where everything belongs, because Google's ideas are make a bunch of things and then support the things that get popular, and that simply did not work with the messaging game. So that's why I think it's a complete and fair argument to say that you choose iPhone because you need iMessage and that works so much more reliably. It's because we use that a lot. That's a very popular app and it's going to continue to be, and making sure you get that as minimal and simple and as quick as you can with consistency, I think, is a major, major factor in which smartphone you're going to invest in. So let me know what you guys think of iMessage down in the comments below. I'm very curious how this video is going to go over, and hopefully you'll learn something. So this is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.